I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz.
What's up, and welcome to the Sword Art Online Alicization War of Underworld After Show. We're talking episode 6, Battle of the Knights. And I have a couple of the Integrity Knights here with me. Yay!
Oh,
hey. Lila Burzins and Armin Taylor. See, it's an easier one than anyway.
It's evening.
Right?
And it's Sunday.
I respond to pretty much
How to
anything
speak
that sounds like
all
my
the
name.
words.
Yes, and things.
The mouth words.
We got the purple and the red going on. We got Fanatio and...
Deus Celbert Synthesis 7.
Yes.
That just rolls off the tongue.
Right, just like comes right off. Deus Celbert Synthesis.
So a couple of nights we're going to go through the episode as well as talk about all other fun stuff involved with doing this show. So welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So
We
the
say in unison.
beginning, we start off
practice.
pretty intense. We get that montage of everybody in their ready positions on the battlefield. It maybe takes a little while, but it's fun to see where everybody is. You're front and center. You know, gotta take the battle and into your own hands because she's best, right? Or best boy and best girl. We'll go that way.
We'll go with that, yeah, for sure, yeah.
And the gate falls, and everyone's just kind of like, ooh, I like the moment where other characters go, wait, final load test? What's that? It's nice when the characters react to something that we as viewers are go, what, did they notice this? And then Vecta is just like, kill everyone. Go. As a viewer, how are you like, oh yes, evil man, kill everybody?
It was very powerful. It set
Yeah.
the opening scene really set everything in place, and it made it very ominous. And then when everything started and the wall broke, it was like, okay, well, it's gonna get real quick.
Yeah. The when we were doing the scene, recording it, Alex, the director, who was in here a while ago, he plays it down for me. He's like, so basically, this is the moment where you're you're in a lot of trouble. You're screwed. So you're gonna die. Everyone's gonna die. So have fun. Like, oh, okay.
He always does it early, and have fun.
And have fun. Good luck.
Nice.
Go. Good luck out there.
I like the context of like,
Yeah,
this
exactly,
is
yeah.
the moment before. All right, nice.
Yeah.
Also, real quick, we have a live chat going on. Welcome everybody who's joining us in the live chat.
Hello.
Please chime in with your questions. If you're watching it later, please comment down below. All right, so exactly, we have this moment of have fun, go kill people. Fanatio goes up against the Giants. I thought that was so awesome and epic, and apparently she's a bit of a surprise to them.
Yeah. I mean, from the opening scene when I pull out my sword and I forget what the official she uses combo moves. She always does moves from farther away.
Yes, she has good
which has to
long
do with the
range
fact that she
attack.
was trying to conceal her gender, so she never wanted anyone to get too close. So it kind of comes hand in hand. But yeah, I mean, her sword moves with the lasers, like the light pouring out of the sword and just hitting, what was it, four people.
There's
at
quite
once.
a few, and she's going after the leader, and
Yeah.
apparently his brain does not compute that this could happen, which was actually really funny, because he's just like, I don't know what's going on, and essentially we see a different breaking of the taboo in a way, because he like freaks out. I love that kind of don't compute, but my thing that was a little bit weird is nobody seems to notice the glitching. I kind of wanted one character, anybody, to go, that's weird. Because it's like he's having these lines, and we've had other characters react to things like that, so it was, I don't know, a little bit weird. Let me know if you noticed that in the chat. I read somebody else's review, and they're like, wait, nobody notices? And like, or even Fanatio to be like, okay, moving forward.
Yeah.
That's strange.
Pretty much. Well, she couldn't move at one point because of that.
That was a weird moment. So what do you think that was of his freak out? Do you think it was like a virus that essentially infected her cube-like cluster, essentially?
I'm trying to remember what happened the day when we were recording that, and Alex had talked to me about this, and I think he said that I was paralyzed in that moment, but I can't remember if it was my own mind or if that I literally could not move in that moment because of everything that was happening. But I have a feeling that there was a force around me.
I want to go
for
with
a brief moment.
How it's edited and shown.
Yeah.
She's affected by an outs.
Yeah.
His glitch.
Yeah.
Is able to affect her.
Exactly.
Which was weird. You're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
But you have somebody who comes to her rescue. That was brutal. I feel that was the most brutal moment in the episode.
Yeah, I cried as soon as I saw that.
Just like, So quick refresher. We get blood coming from everywhere.
Yeah.
We get Dakira who comes in, and Fanatio's stuck, and like she goes to stop it. Dakira's like, oh no, and it's like the ankles bleed, her
Yeah.
eyes
She stops
crying
it with her
blood.
head.
Yeah, you're like, ugh.
It was brutal.
And we don't meet this character before, but I think it had enough context for viewers if it was important. For you as the actor, of like, we haven't met this character, we don't have a relationship, how do you go in and... They do have a history, we just haven't seen it as the viewers. So as an actor, how do you approach that of, you haven't had this experience with this character to give her some depth?
Well, Alex, when he was directing us, I mean, we were just going scene by scene, so we didn't get to see, we just got to see the scene before and we were dubbing. So I got to see exactly what Dakira did before and see what the Japanese actress did. But then doing it, I mean, experiencing that, you just kind of are in the moment, and it's very emotional because you just think of, you know, what would it be like if a friend sacrificed themselves for you, and and then I've just put myself in that position. And at first, because it was moving me so much, I started, like, when he was like, okay, now do the crying scene, he was like, okay, a little bit less, because the Japanese is, and he was like, no, just like very, very much lighter, because I had all the feels. Yeah, I know, I would have been bawling if it was like a real, you know, scene, but it's anime, so I got to pull that in, just pull back. But no, I mean, it was very emotional. And then watching it, you know, on the screen, it just made me relive everything. And then I got to see what, you know, everything all the way through in live.
Yeah. As an actor, how do you get yourself to cry? Because you had a very emotional scene. How do you get yourself in that mindset and get ready and go?
Well, funny thing about that is I've been acting since I was about 6. And one of the things I kind of naturally have been able to do is cry on command. I don't know why. Like, I'm very in tune with my emotions. So
that's important. So
if I need to do that, I can get there pretty quickly. Crying and laughing, that's what I do. but no, so it's more just for me trying to come from a real place, you know, so that it comes across authentically. So I would have to think about, you know, what would it be like if a friend or a family member was in my arms and just channel that. And that's kind of what I do,
yeah. No, it definitely comes across for sure. It's a very emotional scene because we get this quick, like, maybe history of how this girl knew her and admired Fanatio, but she's gone. Renji points out in the chat, the way the giant went berserk as he glitched made the scene more intense. Yeah, it was very unnerving to watch it, like, freak out. And he killed his own people on the way over, which was like, wait, what? Well, get out of his way.
Man has places to be.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then speaking of other people who need places to be, your character is
Yes.
ready to go.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, not an unlimited supply of arrows, but does quite a bit of damage in that first run of it. I was like, yes, somebody who's killing so many at once because they have the numbers stacked against them.
Yeah, and it's cool with Deus Albert. Every time I go in to work on him, he has leveled up in some capacity. So it's like before when he fights, oh my god,
Yu-Gi-Oh! And Kiryu.
Thank you, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Kiryu, on the stairwell.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that's the first time we see him do one thing, and then later he, you know, he can now fire like multiple arrows at once, and they get powerful and stronger. So it's like each time I get to interact with them, I'm like, ooh, fun, more toys to play with.
But at one point, you're just holding the arrow for a good.
Because you have to like charge, and it's And speaking of sacrifices, that you know, in that scene too, it's like all these people have to, at some point, sacrifice themselves to buy me time to charge up, and it's that like, they don't. I don't have a personal relationship with those people, those particular characters, but it is that still thing that Alex was talking about. Was like, imagine a bunch of not friends, but people you just met, being like, "I'm gonna die for you." Like, how do you live with that, and how do you know, approach that in the moment? It's like it's a heavy show.
It was a very heavy episode.
There was another character, I caught his name is Golagrosso. Wasn't sure on how you say it, but he was somebody who comes in like, I'll do something, I'm gonna do that for you. And when he's almost gonna be killed by the goblin, your character's like, oh, no!
Yeah, it's like the final straw, yeah.
So how is that yelling for you to do in the booth? Like, what is that experience like?
For me, it's pretty easy to tap into that like heightened emotion. So you just, kind of you say, you just sort of go there, and then the subtler ones can be more challenging. But that sort of like big, like no, like just letting forth from like reaching down into your soul and just letting that out is not that hard for me. I'm pretty grateful about that.
Acting is like live therapy.
Oh my God,
just
so
let everything
much so,
out,
yeah.
like especially anime and video games. You're just like, okay, all your anger and angst, let it out, and you just go, and you're just in the moment. It's
the scene with from the previous episode when Deus Albert, or not the previous episode, but episodes before, when he's like going back through his memory and he's like, I can just remember the touch of, and like I like actually cried in the booth doing that, and it's like the first take was much more, and so Alex again was like, so just reel it back a little bit, like we don't need to go that far, and like maybe make it,
because
like,
we were feeling things so much.
So but it really is live therapy. You walk out, you're like, I feel good.
And every person that was in the battle, like they showed a memory from their past before they start. It kind of leads the audience in a nice way, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
Do you feel, for both of you, is it easier to, I hear it's easier to dial it back than build it up?
Yes.
For us,
Yeah, for sure.
Tend to be very emotive. Yeah.
But it's also easier for the directors and the engineers and the everyone involved. If someone's they're like, okay, we need more, and they only go 5% more, it's like, oh boy.
They can
but
always
if you
pull you back.
overshoot, they're like, great, we know where the goalpost is. Now we can, rein it back in. But I'm gonna mix as many sports metaphors as possible.
That's all right.
But yeah, it's easier to dial it down if people are like more. You're like, I'm giving it everything. What more do you want? But if you overshoot, then you made it there.
Yeah.
Ivan Ramirez in the chat points out that Dakira and Fanatio's relationship is explained more in the light novels and the video game.
Yes.
Cool. Thank you.
I actually went on Wikipedia. Hi, Ivan. I know Ivan from Twitter.
Oh, nice.
He makes wonderful video clips for me.
Oh, cool.
So I know that Dakira was had a crush on a girl. Something tragic happened. Forgive me, I can't remember at the moment. But Fanatio reminded her of the girl, and I don't think she was allowed to pursue her relationship. So she kind of followed Fanatio, and she was the only one that she devoted herself to, and that's why it was so moving that she sacrificed her life in that moment, because that's what the flashback, I think, was about. As soon as the episode was over, I was like, Dakira and Fanatio. Yeah.
Well, I know we don't get to see a lot, but I think the show and then the character acting is enough it's an important relationship. Like, we don't need everybody's backstory, but it's great to have that. Actually, good question here. We got Chandler says, how awesome is it to return to these nights after only getting their solo fights last season?
It's really cool. It's really cool. And it's also really cool to get us all together. We're not obviously together when we do it, but it's cool that we've all been these isolated characters that the protagonists have had to sort of work their way through, and now we're on their side. Now that we've sort of seen the light, now to have us all together, it's like we're united in a common cause, and it's... Yeah. Plus, now I get to actually hear them in my headphones talking, and they're like, oh, we have everyone else's lines, so we're going to play you in. I'm like, oh, hey, guys.
It's like we're all together.
We're all together. 2 weeks apart.
Yeah.
I was going to ask that next, too, of... previous people who've come in have talked about who's recorded first and last. When you've gone in, has it been often that you're the first one, or you hear the others, or a mix of both? Depends on where you are in the season.
Mix of both for
me.
Okay.
Same. Yeah. Kind of.
I feel like Bryce has often gone in first, so I often get to hear Bryce if he's in the scene, and then usually he's the only one.
Yeah.
Or Amari.
Yeah. For me, I'm mostly trying to match tonally as the original Japanese of Fanatio, and so I'm not getting too much English. I'm getting here and there some of the other characters, but primarily it's just me and her in the cans. Yeah.
How did you discover the voices, the tones, the nuances for your character?
It's just a process with Alex of. You get them. He plays a few lines of the original Japanese, and talks about the character, and you kind of just play around and you do a couple takes, and he goes, "Ooh, okay, I like that. Maybe a little sterner, maybe a little more gentle here. You're a righteous person, so don't twirl the mustache, because the first time you see Dale Silbert, he shows up and steals Alice and is like, "You are all damned," and like flies off. So I was like, "Ha ha ha, evil." And he's like, "No, you're a good guy." I was like, "No."
I want to be bad.
Also, usually when I get brought in, it is to play a bad guy, so my default is like, "So I'm the bad guy, right?" And they're like, "No, you're a good guy." I'm like, "Wait, what?
Yeah.
No, you made a mistake."
Yeah.
He's just misguided.
He's
guy.
misguided in the beginning. It's not his
Yeah.
fault.
Yeah,
But it is
I
that
love it.
process of kind of like you just sort of find it and sort of feel where it lands in you physically and emotionally and go from there. Obviously, they go on a ride thereafter. And,
Yeah.
But
For me, it was a little different because with Finatio, the first time I saw her, I get brought in to do a lot of androgynous characters or characters that have to play both male and female or something, you know, along that line, because I already have a very kind of low voice, which I use for a lot of boy voices and things like that. And they said, oh, we've got this character.
you do a great male New York cabbie, by the way.
Oh, yeah, this is Larry from the Bronx. Yeah. Sometimes I'll do a video game and they'll be like, hey. I actually just...
Taxi
It's
driver
fun.
number 073.
When you're an alto, you can do lots of fun stuff like that. But so they showed me her in helmet, and they were like, okay, here's the Japanese, and she's speaking all low like this, like I am, you know, everything.
Yeah.
And then when she takes off the helmet, then they wanted her much lighter and more feminine, but she still has a ton of emotional baggage in the first few scenes. It's only until after she fights Kirito, and then she's like, oh, you know, all of that. She's relieved to be able to take off the helmet and be herself. That
And
you
put
see
on
this,
some lipstick.
and you see this feminine
Glamour,
side of
yeah.
her, where she's like, hi, how's Kirito? Let me come visit him. Like this whole
Yeah.
big scene where you're like, what is she doing?
How was
Yeah.
that scene with Alice? Because we had talked about it before. We're like, wow, girl fight.
I
Like,
know. No, it was a lot of it was a lot of
Territorial
fun.
over.
That I was hearing Alice in my headphones. That was hysterical to go back and forth and hear that and match what she was doing.
It was such a fun lady stand-up.
It was like you're still being prim and
What?
proper, but you're kind of just
Yes.
undercutting her authority very, very lightly in the scene. You just want to. So it was a nice moment, especially when Bercoli leaves
Yeah.
and we both turn around and we're like, oh, he left.
You're like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, fine.
We're always fighting over some boy.
Right?
It's anime for you. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because anime.
Because anime.
Yes.
Anime.
We got Natsu in the chat says, I love seeing Deo Selber attack the enemies. How did Alex direct you for that scene? So you talked a little bit about how the yelling, but when you're doing the fighting, do you have a hero pose?
I do. I actually tend to try to match what they're doing with their body, like the pull back and hold, just because that puts the tension actually where it is.
Yeah.
Or if it's like they need some sort of tension, like hold your arms and sort of like pull them apart. But yeah, he sort of directs you through it. And Alex is great too about, he wants you to do right by the original Japanese, but sometimes it might go high or low, and he's like, no, you can, whatever feels right will, as long as it visually matches. Like if the guy's screaming and you whisper, like, no, but he's great about finding sort of our own version of it, which is cool.
Yeah.
But the fighting's a lot of fun to do, too.
Yeah.
It's also amazing because it takes a lot longer than the talking, because you have all these individual like sound cues for like the pulling and the releasing and the holding, and so you do all this stuff, and then he's like, okay, we're gonna play back to the scene just to make sure it all flows. And it's like 2 seconds of action, and you're like, wait, that was the last 20 minutes of my life.
And it's a lot of energy.
It's a lot of it, yeah.
A lot of energy. You come out of like just an hour session, you're like, whoa, okay, I need to take a little.
Man, massage the shoulder.
Yeah,
Can't
you
feel
really
that.
like. I can't tell you how many times like from an anime or a video game, I'm like, hi chiropractor, I need to. Like, what were you doing? You know, throwing fireballs and fighting.
I for sure come out of video game sessions like, ow, ow.
The first fight I ever had with
Muscle spasm.
Kirito, I was doing everything with my hands and arms,
Oh,
like to
yeah.
match what was happening on screen and the tension, just like
Yeah.
Armin was talking about. And that afterwards, you're like, oh man, I gotta stretch.
Do you have a hero pose?
I again match everything that's on
Nice,
screen.
yeah.
But whatever's happening, you know, with Finatio, she tends to be more regal when she's speaking. So I have holding my hands a lot the way she is. And yeah, I mean, everybody has that Peter Pan pose, I think, at one point with their hands on their hips. But
We for sure all have that.
yeah, we all have that in between. You're like, all right, now we're going to battle.
Especially
but, you know,
all the nights.
Yeah.
Maybe not Renly, but all the rest of us have that like moment
Yes.
of like, we are here
Yeah.
for you.
But in any
Speaking
of the
of-
sword scenes, it's like something where you have to like push. You know, you're holding the imaginary sword and pushing back and putting that tension in your body.
Yeah.
Just
I was gonna say, speaking of Renly, runs away from the battlefield
What
to
a
go
little
hide.
coward.
I know.
Does he get a redemption arc? Does someone know?
Well, hey, we're not getting ahead here.
Oh, sorry.
You can go watch the sub version and find out, but we're talking the dub version.
You're right.
So
That's
we
true.
don't
So
know
don't
yet.
answer that. I don't want to know.
I hope
Don't ruin it
so.
for me.
Yeah.
But it's understandable because
Sure.
at the beginning too. Another thing we got Fizelle and Linnell talking about what's going on and judging some of the other knights and going, hey, they're not really ready for battle because they haven't had a battle like this pretty much ever.
Yeah.
Even Deo Silver is like, okay, so this is what war is like.
Yeah.
I have no idea how much time has passed, and so it's something kind of new for most of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we've always just gone out and enforced the law. It's been a very,
or small stuff.
yeah.
Maybe a one-on-one with some demon, like
Yeah.
the goblins and such, but not this epic. So it's
Yeah.
understandable Renly runs off. It's just a little unfortunate because everyone's like, so
Bro.
where'd he go? So
Yeah.
poor Renly runs off. So actually the next moment we get to, so Deo Silver runs out of arrows. It's cool. I got a plan. I'm going to use a sword as an arrow, which was so cool.
Which was
and
so
It was
cool.
epic.
It was so
epic.
cool.
and
I was
turns
like,
into a giant
no.
phoenix.
Yeah.
Which is so cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then actually speaking of that, Renji in the chat says Deo Silver had a better Phoenix moment than Jean Grey from any version.
Oh,
Burn.
thank you. Yeah, that was a really fun moment to do. Yeah, because Alex is like, you see that sword? You're about to do something really cool with it. And I'm like, oh, that's amazing.
Because of course he would be like, well, I don't have any arrows, but you
But I
know
got a
what? I'm not
sword.
done yet.
Yeah.
No, and seeing that in slow motion, seeing the goblin's
Yeah.
reaction, and then everybody else just incinerating. Oh, it was epic. It was
it's
beautiful.
such a cool.
Even as the goblins are holding on to his legs, they burn up too,
Yeah.
which is like,
Yeah.
Yep. I just kept looking over and I was like, oh, like you just kept killing people.
I know,
Like,
yeah.
it was
It's like I
epically-
imagine the what was that movie? It was a spoof on those 80s action movies. It's like called, I can't remember what it was. But there's a point where they just have like a rolling kill count at the bottom. It's like gorier than like
Yes.
Terminator 2. I felt like that
Yes.
when watching it 'cause he
Yeah.
just keeps annihilating so
Yeah.
many goblins and stuff. Yeah.
but there's still so many around and they keep doing
Yeah.
their fighting. But actually, as the people die, there is some benefit, sort of, because we got Alice up in the sky on her dragon and is absorbing the energy and making this giant orb thing that we don't know what it is yet. And I still say she should be doing her Dracarys and burn everybody, but let's save the energy of the dragon for later. That's my only, why. Because, I feel you should annihilate as many as you can at first, but I guess we're saving the big guns for the bigger baddies at the end of the battlefield.
Yeah.
Though
Yeah.
it was weird to have, I do like we had a couple of the characters, Kiritos at the back of the battlefield. I'm like, I'm worried about some of those numbers of the goblins getting through. Because we also
sure.
get the goblins who
Yeah.
run low, which was cool too. I mean, they're the bad guys, but I did like them hey, wait, do the smoke bombs, which... Eldery, you know what's funny? I thought on this one I heard the characters call him Eldery, and then I've heard Eldrie.
I think it's Eldrie.
I thought it was Eldrie, but then I thought I heard Eldery, but that guy.
Eldrie.
Yeah.
Eldrie.
Yes.
Something like that. Yes.
It's funny.
He's like,
I think
wait.
it's Eldrea.
I think
you're
I
right.
think it's
so. I think
Eldrie.
so.
If I don't end up saying the name as the character, I'm always like, I can't help you. I'm sorry.
It is interesting seeing hearing the Japanese, hearing the English, and then reading it,
Yeah.
because then you're just like, oh, the swirl. But
Yeah.
when the goblins are coming at him and they throw the smoke bombs, I did think it was a little bit unfortunate that they go, oh, what's that?
Yeah.
But guys, they're throwing something at you. Let's assume it's bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay?
Yeah.
And then wait, don't swing your sword. You're gonna hit our own people. All right, well at least that was smart. And then Natsu says yes. Well, I love seeing Alice using the energy from the Fallen. Yes. And then Ivan does say, let's not forget Fanatio's giant sword cut. Epic. So this is true. She does get another move. First she gets the one slice.
The revenge
big-
cut after
It was
Dakida's.
more like a shot, and then the other one does seem like a slice.
shot up into the air. Well, after Dakida is killed, and then
Yeah.
she's the shot up into the air, and then basically slices the goblin in half, like a sandwich, like a piece of toast. I'm trying to think of the analogy.
A melon.
Just melon balls. I was like, this is, and I saw the scene. I was like, what? That's a cool move.
I do like
It's my favorite
it's
move
coming
in the
on the
whole thing.
goblins or the giants
Yeah.
I like this episode had so much more action and gruesome battle, which felt about time.
Yeah.
We've been wanting that. We've been wanting the action, the fighting. So this one had it. We're like, yes.
Well, I feel like their use of the because this one did seem gorier than the past ones.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
A little bit.
Past battles. I think that's a good point because it's like this is the first time any of them have experienced war on the scale. So to make it for the viewers that much more graphic is like, yeah, it's emotionally hits home. It's like this is a different scale than.
Well, it's also interesting too because like all these people are essentially ones and zeros,
Right.
sort of. But I'm still sad when they're dying.
Yeah.
And there's so many dying on the battlefield, but we have a couple characters that are going to defend them. Any fun?
Just not Renly.
Yeah, not Renly. But maybe later.
Renly.
Maybe. Any fun stories from recording in the booth or any moments where you had like you had to adjust what you were doing or any interesting stories from when you were recording this arc and this episode?
Yes.
I just remember sometimes
well.
in battle scenes I would get so intense that my voice would crack a little bit because I'd be like yell. Well, especially when I had to yell. But no, I don't know if I can think of any really crazy stories. I just got really in the moment, and then sometimes my voice would crack.
You're all, wait, let's...
Because I'd have to yell. I'd be like, enhance armament!
Oh, yeah.
Enhance armament! Because you're doing it a couple times, and then I remember I was starting to get hoarse. I was like, enhance armament!
It's always good when you watch the playthrough and you see that the person does like a 7-minute like scream, and you're like, let me fill my lungs with air.
Yeah, they're like, that's great. We just do get one more, two more for safety.
What?
Never.
Never.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. From this episode, I don't know if there's anything in particular. I mean, like Dale Selbert is such a serious guy doing such serious things that it's either the heartstring pulling of his memories from before, his limited memories of before, or his duty that he's doing in the fighting. But getting to do because I always get to do some of the goblins.
Yes, you mentioned you are another character
I'm
in the show.
Ferger,
That's
the ogre chieftain, who looks like a werewolf.
It's a werewolf.
It's a werewolf. We don't talk about that. Gloss over it.
Yeah.
But like those things, and I was also in the episode 3 or something. I was Ugachi, the Goblin King, way back in the day. And those are fun to do because you have a lot of freedom with those. Like the main characters and the heroes, you kind of have to fit in. But like Ferger, he's in a few episodes, and
That's right.
And it's like, go for it. No, make him sound beastier. No, like more snarl, more spit, more slug. As long as we can understand you, great. And the goblins are so much fun because I think I'm one of the goblins that even tackles Dale Selbert at some point. It's just fun to get to do those little like high pitched noises and scream and sort of evil cackling.
Used to be the king, the Goblin King.
What? Ugachi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it ever, what's it like going in and you have your regular character and then they go, hey, who wants to do other voices? Or do you offer to do other ones? Or do they approach you and say, hey, by the way, can you do these extra ones?
Usually, like from my experience, it's usually you do like Dale Selbert and they're like, so, and they pull up a list on the screen and they're like, ready to do some more? And you're like, yeah, okay, sure, let's do it.
Nice.
It's usually how it works. Sometimes they might have you like try a couple voices. They might have you be like, can you get higher or lower? And if you can't, then they're like, all right, we'll have someone else do that.
Nice.
He needs to sound like a 4-year-old boy, not you.
Or background characters, Walla sometimes, you know. People in the crowd get a lot of that. I think there was one, I can't remember the scene, but there was something where I had to, a couple of us had to do a kind of an echoing voice in the distance.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's kind of whatever Alex says. Oh, can you do this? How about and how about this?
Yeah.
A little of this?
Nice.
Yeah.
Also, real quick, what is some voice acting advice you wish you could have told yourself before you started?
Oh, God.
Oh, man.
Top one or...
Let go of perfectionism. Let go of perfectionism and just play. Turn off your brain, get in your body, and just play.
Yeah.
For so many years in the beginning, I was like so focused on how I sounded
Yeah.
and not on being in the moment. And I was, I came from stage acting, and I should have known, like, hey, come on, you got to be in the moment. You got to be there. And not only that, but especially when you're, reading auditions and things like that, visualize everything that's happening as if you're in the cartoon. And, the same way, even when you're, reading a commercial, pretend you're an on-camera actor and you're pointing at the different things. Like, the more you can play in your imagination, or as I say, play in the sound box. Yeah, that's my little... Play in the sound box. Copyright Lila Persons 2020. Is, that's where
like that.
the most authentic experience comes out of your acting,
Don't be afraid to look like a fool.
Yes, yes.
I mean, there is so much spit and sweat and that you contort yourself into weird positions to make like the fur.
Use your body.
Yeah.
You can't be just standing there. Okay, now I'm gonna read this.
Yeah,
you gotta be.
Don't be afraid to make an ass of yourself, because that's where it's when it's not safe. When you're not being safe with it, that's when the best performances happen. If you're like, I sound good like this, that everyone's like.
And another thing that I only learned a few years ago is when you just have a script and you don't have any visuals, think about eye line. Think about the eye line of the person you're talking to.
Yes.
And what they're similar coaches and what they're doing and how they're reacting to what you're saying in that moment, and that will completely change your read. And do things with your hands. If you're getting stuck in your head, take a straw, take a pencil, do something with your.
It's not about the voice.
It's exactly once you ground yourself in your body, or you distract yourself from doing whatever it is, just take something and start playing with it, and distract yourself from your own brain, and a much more authentic read will come out, because you're not saying, okay, now I'm going to do this and now I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
And it takes a long time. In the beginning, you're struggling with that little voice that's saying, you need to do it. You need to say these words like the way that I'm thinking in my head, and versus just playing. Because when you're a kid and you're playing in the playground, you're not saying, did you believe me when I?
Yeah, exactly.
Did you?
No, you're just the knight. You pick up the stick and you're the knight.
Yeah.
I mean, you were echoing in there.
That's basically
agreeing,
it. I'm agreeing with
in
basically
case
everything.
you had anything.
You have to be having fun.
And it's not about the voice. It's not about how you sound. It's not about if you have a deep voice or a high voice. I mean, those will self-select what kind of roles you can get.
Yeah.
But it's all about the acting. It's all the acting. And people who get into this and are like, oh, I have a cool voice, I'll be great at this. It's like, oh, you have so much humble pie coming your way. Eat up. Because I was that person.
Well, those are awesome suggestions. I like them very much, and I hope you all enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
About it. Is there anything you want to promote, or if you can't because of those NDAs, where can also people find you?
I am on Twitter and Instagram at Armin Taylor, and my life is an NDA. So check back later.
Follow me online to get up.
Yes, exactly.
There you go.
There is one show that I can talk about because it's already out on Disney Plus. You can watch me on Amphibia. I'm Mrs. Croker, honey. Have fun and don't get me enraged, or I'll show you what's what. Oh gosh. And then a whole bunch of stuff I wish I could talk about coming out soon. And then on. Yeah, like that thing about the stuff. On Twitter, lberzins_voices. Instagram, LilaB_voiceovers, LAILA. That's the way I spell my name. And then my website is lilaberzins.com, which, again, I have to spell LAILABERZINS.com. Really easy. .com.
Nice.
Cool.
Well, again, thank you so much for coming in. It was super fun.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yes,
Yeah.
Did I steal your line?
Having a
no,
little-
that
Sorry.
works.
Little
We'll
schmooze.
build. Yes,
Sunday
and.
schmooze.
Yes.
Thank you for joining in the live chat for all your questions. And if you're watching this later, awesome. Please comment down below. You can find me online at Carrie D Lane. That's KARIDLANE. Also, make sure to follow the official Sword Art Twitter, which is Sword Art USA. And stay tuned for next week. We got more actors for you. All right, thanks for watching. See ya.
Bye.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.